Hey everybody, it's Adam. Hope you had a great weekend. It's Monday, which means we are one day away from the presidential election in the United States. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but probably will in another. We are also officially 1 week from the release of Black Ops 2. And I think I've mentioned to you all before, I really believe that this is going to be a revolution in Call of Duty gameplay, much of the same way Call of Duty 4 was when it first came out and sort of eclipsed and took over from Call of Duty 2 in the old standard. Now, I know that's a really bold statement to make, and one that has a very high probability of coming back and biting me in the ass, especially when I had very high pre-release hopes for Modern Warfare 3, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about well, I mean, I hope I'm not wrong, like I was with Modern Warfare 3, excuse me. I hope I'm right about this and everything that I've seen. By this time, I've seen probably close to 10 hours of footage, both official from streams from Eurogamer and Gamescom and things like that. A couple hours worth of leaked gameplay from the closed multiplayer beta that they had a few months back, and now probably 3 or 4 hours of gameplay versus bots that from people that have gotten the game early. Black Ops 2. Please remember, the caveat here is I have not played the game. I've watched a lot of it. I've observed a lot of it. I've played thousands of hours of every other Call of Duty. I feel pretty confident in my predictions. But, I'm guessing. I'm making stuff up. So, okay, the first perk tier. We have lightweight. It does the same thing. You move a little bit faster. In Black Ops, I think it was 8% faster, maybe 9% faster, and you do not take any fall damage. The next perk is Hardline. Now, Hardline is a really interesting perk because no one seems to really know exactly how it works yet, or at least no one has posted exactly how it works yet. In the leaked information that we got a few months ago, and even the official information we got a few months ago, Hardline was going to give you more points for each kill. So if you had Hardline equipped and you got 100 points for a regular kill in TDM, you'd get 125 points with Hardline equipped, or something equivalent to that, right? Now the official language of the Hardline perk says, helps you get your score streaks faster. That's all it says. I've watched numerous videos online now with the release build of people using Hardline and not using Hardline, and they're getting the exact same amount of points with each kill, with each dog tag pickup, with each assist, whatever. My theory now is that Hardline reduces the number of points it takes to get a score streak. What that actual reduction in requirement is, I have no idea. I would hope that at some point we will actually get the numbers on that. You get Blind Eye. Blind Eye protects you from user-controlled aircraft and things like that. User-controlled aircraft and like the AGR and the other things that people can use to target you by running around on the ground. Then the next perk available to you is Flak Jacket, which does the exact same thing it used to do. It reduces the overall damage you take from explosions, including the RCXD and Hunter Killer Drone, and then Ghost. Ghost only protects you from UAVs while you're moving, while you're planting or disarming a bomb, or while you are using a user-controlled kill streak. Those are the only times when Ghost protects you. The second you stop moving and the UAV scans your position, you show up as a red dot. It does not protect you from the Blackbird or the orbital VSAT either. Perk 1, to me, the choices are really obvious here. It's got to be Hardline, Flak Jacket, or Ghost. I mean, Lightweight is useful. A lot of rushers swear by it, but I am not one of the people that thinks that little bit of extra speed is worth using a perk slot. I don't think the Blind Eye, again, is going to be super useful. It's great that, fire and forget AI-controlled kill streaks can't target you, and that you can't be seen by player-controlled kill streaks. They'll still be able to shoot you if they can actually see your little character on the map. In general, I just don't think it's good use of the perk slot. So I think it's going to be a battle between Hardline, Flak Jacket, and Ghost. I am making it a mission myself to use less Ghost, to just, to just rely less on that. If people can see me on the map, then they can come find me and I can kill them faster. I just don't want to keep using a perk slot over and over and over again for a little bit of extra stealth. So it'll probably be a battle between Flak Jacket and Hardline for me most of the time there. And the perk 2 slot, I think it is a much less attractive group of perks. Toughness lets you flinch less when shot. I think it's probably going to have the same value as Hardened Pro and Black Ops. I never found that particularly useful. I experimented with it many times, many hours, and just really never found it particularly beneficial to me. The next perk is Cold-Blooded. Again, Cold-Blooded makes you resistant to targeting. There's no red crosshair above your name, or excuse me, no red name above your player model, no red crosshair when you're targeted. It makes you resistant to the MMS, which is the millimeter scanner. Makes you resistant to the new optic, which puts a triangle around you and things like that. Also to thermal. And the next perk is Fast Hands. Fast Hands allows you to throw equipment faster, probably about twice as fast as the standard throwing. In Black Ops, that means grenades, tacticals, C4s, knives, or excuse me, axes, everything. And it also allows you to switch weapons faster. Hardwired makes you immune to counter UAV and EMP. And Scavenger refills everything, but only if you kill people with a gun. And it's a limited refill. It doesn't give you, it only gives you 20 or 30 bullets per scavenger pack, and I believe one of your explosives and one of your tacticals back. For me, the choice here is really easy. It's either Fast Hands or Scavenger. I will probably only have one stealth class for the entire game. So whatever that stealth class is will probably have Cold-Blooded on it. But I don't anticipate using it on multiple classes. I might have Ghost on more than one class, but I'll probably only have Cold-Blooded on my dedicated stealth class. So that means for me, if I'm using a class which has a lot of equipment, Fast Hands is probably going to be more useful, but if I'm using a class that has a lot of equipment, Scavenger is going to be more useful. So this might be a situation where I tend to take Scavenger most of the time, and if I am taking Scavenger, I'm probably going to be using Fast Hands. But here's something to think about, and I really want you guys to think about this carefully. If all you're doing is like a perk-heavy build, or a primary gunfighter build with 4 or 5 perks, but you're not doing any equipment, think about this. Why are you really taking Scavenger? Alright, it's true that if you're not careful, you can burn through all of your ammunition and only get 4 or 5 kills. That's true. I've done it many times. And that means that you're out of ammo on your primary gun. But when have you ever played a game of Call of Duty where there weren't a half dozen guns for you to pick up at pretty much any given time? Right? Think about it, really. So if you're really not using a lethal or a tactical, then all you're using Scavenger for is to refill your primary ammunition. If you're the type of guy that's really campy or really defensive, if you prefer, I'm sorry, and you love that gun, you use primary gunfighter on it, and it kills you, the thought of not having that gun anymore, you know what I mean, because it's the best gun in the game, it's got the best attachments in the game, then yeah, use Scavenger. I'm sure there's going to be a couple classes where I use Scavenger and don't use equipment because I'm using primary gunfighter and maybe a secondary, and I just think, man, this is the best class, this is the best gun, this is the class I play the best with, I want a ton of ammo for it, I don't want to fuck around with anything else, and it's going to make me, get all my high kill streaks. But by and large, I think that the perk 2 tier slot is almost, it's almost one that you can skip. You know what I mean? It's almost a perk slot that you can skip if you're trying to save points around, especially if you want to load up on perks in tier 1 and tier 3. And I do think there's several classes that I'm going to do that with. All right, so now we're moving on to perk 3. To me, this is by far the most interesting perk tier in the game. Alright, Dexterity allows you to mantle over objects faster, it allows you to pull up your weapon faster after sprinting, and it also allows you to recover faster after meleeing. Extreme Conditioning allows you to run for a further distance, but not unlimited. Tactical Mask protects you from some of the effects of all tactical grenades and shock charges. Engineer allows you to see enemy equipment in the world, reroll care packages, and hack other enemy equipment. Dead Silence makes your movements and all of your sounds completely silent. Awareness amplifies the sound of footsteps and other sounds that players make. There is a lot of confusion right now about whether awareness is a counter to Dead Silence. You'd think to yourself, oh, it makes sense that awareness would be a counter to Dead Silence because otherwise Dead Silence has no counter. The problem is that makes awareness probably the most powerful perk in the game because it allows you to hear everybody in the game. It allows you to hear regular users' footsteps much more amplified and allows you to hear Dead Silence users at least a little bit. Probably wouldn't be as amplified as as if they weren't using dead silence. But at the same time, there's really no counter to awareness if awareness is the counter to dead silence. I know that logic is a little bit circular, but think about it for a second and it makes sense. You'd think, all right, this guy is using awareness to hear me better using his $300 headset. I'm going to put on dead silence and I'm not going to worry about it. But awareness is a counter to, is a hard counter to dead silence. So I'm not sure exactly what the status of that is. I haven't heard anything about it from people that play the game, and Vonderhaar indicated that it was a counter to dead silence, but has not followed up on that for a couple of months, so I really don't know. Excuse me, Coke Zero break. All right, and I'm back. So that makes it really difficult what to suggest there, except for the fact that, a lot of people, a lot of the time, are going to be using both dead silence and awareness, and I don't blame them. I think it's going to come down to this. If you're going to be spending a lot of time behind enemy lines, rushing, playing very aggressively, something like that, dead silence is probably going to be a must, and awareness probably is too. But if you're playing the type of game where again, you're more campy or more strategically moving around the map, or if you're using a sniper rifle or a 3-burst rifle and are staying back or something like that, you might really not need either one, because you might not be in close enough proximity where either being silent or being a sound whore is that important to you. You know what I mean? So I think that they're probably going to be the default 2 to pick. If you're going to do a pick 2, if you're going to use a wild card on a perk, you're probably going to want to use it on those 2. However, there is an argument to be made that if awareness cancels out dead silence and everybody's going to be using awareness, then why bother using dead silence? Just use awareness so you can each hear each other better. Anyways, I think dexterity is going to be very useful, especially for people that are pairing it with extreme conditioning and fast hands and are just running around the map like crazy with an SMG and combat axes and things like that. I don't know that I'll use it all that much, but probably on a class or 2. Extreme conditioning and, / marathon is something I always go back and forth. I like the mobility, but at the same time I feel like it makes me conditioned to run more, and the more I run, the more I tend to be running around corners and running into buildings and doing things that you absolutely shouldn't do because they'll get you killed every time. Tac Mask Pro was one of my favorite perks in Black Ops. For some reason, I don't think it's going to be as effective this time, probably because it looks like it doesn't really mitigate the effect that much, number 1, and number 2, because I don't think people are going to be using tactical grenades anywhere near as much as they have been in past Call of Duties, again, because of the nature of the Pick 10 system. To me, Engineer looks like a really interesting alternative to something like Flak Jacket, just like Hacker was. If you can see where the Claymore and the Bouncing Betty are, it's very unlikely that you're going to get blown up by them. Similarly, if you're somebody that likes to use care packages, being able to re-roll it is very useful, and being able to hack other enemy equipment could be very useful as well in a game where there's going to be guardians and robots running around and things like that. So I think that we're probably going to end up seeing, the same 2 or 3 perks from each of these tiers be dominant, just like we do in every other game, every other Call of Duty game. I don't think that's going to change just because of the Pick 10 system, but I do think you're going to see a much wider variety of classes here. I do still think that the best way to play this game is probably going to be to figure out what the most effective perks are for you and max those out and rely much less on the guns and the attachments. But that video is coming tomorrow talking about the guns and the attachments, so stay tuned and look forward to talking to you guys then.